fellow Christian, and today I'm ecstatic to give you the sermon on purpose. Here we go. In Psalm 86:15 it says, "For you, Lord, are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness." This gracious and loving God truly desires that each and every one of you lives a life full of purpose and meaning. To further exemplify this fact, he says in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." As I was reviewing over this verse, the phrase "not to harm you" really stuck out to me. And I was like, Lord, why is the word harm, the most not uplifting word in fact, coming into my mind? But then I realized, so many people in this life are striving for purpose and identity, but they are attempting to find it in all the wrong places. They are trying to find it in the way they look, in the way they dress, and how athletic they are, and how well they can sing. Fill in your own blank. See, all these things aren't bad, and God can use them for His ultimate purpose. But the problem lies in the fact that so many people set their standard according to what the world says is good. Many will say, "Oh, I look like so-and-so," or "dress like this celebrity. That must mean that I have purpose and an identity in this life." No, you must stop thinking this way and realize that the world simply sees you as an item, an object that it can use for its own gain. But once you are used up, it throws you to the side of the curb as if you had no worth at all. The ultimate problem is that many people don't believe that this is going to happen to them, and they blind themselves to this previous notion. But take Turia Pitt, for example, a beautiful Australian model who had the whole world in front of her. But one day, when she was out for a run, she was engulfed in the flames of a bushfire, which left her disfigured. The image which she had built her whole life around was immediately destroyed, and her modeling days have come to an end. See, the world sells a false purpose, but God provides a true purpose for those who love Him and are called according to His purposes.
That's true. Amen.
I love inspiring stories that tell of individuals who use their gifts and talents for the Lord's purpose within their life. One such story was about a young boy who grew up on a dairy farm. Because of his willingness to carry out the Lord's plan within his life, he was ultimately able to reach millions through his crusades, television broadcasts, and radio shows. Due to his willingness, he has become known as the most influential speaker of the 20th century. But his influence did not stop on February 21st, 2018 in his passing. No, his influence carries on to this very day. And much of what he said is relevant in each and every one of our lives. This man was named Billy Graham, and one such specific quote that he made was this: "Yet the further we separate ourselves from God, the more our world spirals out of control." Look at our world now. It is in a mess. Why? Because so many people are attempting to find their purpose and identity in all the wrong places. But Billy had it right. He said, "My one purpose in this life is to personally allow others to formulate a relationship with Jesus Christ. This too is our purpose. The Bible, in fact, calls us to go into all the world and preach the gospel. This is our ultimate purpose as Christians." In conclusion, let me share a story that exemplifies the Lord's care for the small things in our life. Does anyone know the story of the plankton? It is defined as a small microorganism unable to swim against the currents of the ocean, which is used as a food source by large fish and whales. After hearing this definition, you may think to yourself, where's the purpose? Where's the purpose in an organism that can't control its own actions and is literally eaten for a living? But that's not the end of the story. See, the plankton begins its life the most dire of places, at the depths of the ocean. But from that position, it begins to rise. It begins to rise through all the struggles, all the perils, and all the oceanic creatures that would attempt to stop its motion. But for those that ultimately reach the surface, they and only they are able to take part in the purposeful process of photosynthesis. And by doing so, they are ultimately able to provide for 50% of the oxygen we are breathing right now. What may seem purposeless may in fact not be what it seems. So I leave you with this. If such a gracious and loving Father can use such a small microorganism for something so purposeful, then he can use you, his beloved children, for extraordinary things.